Welcome. Let's look at the uterovesical pouch. Using this image by the side, this is where we have the uterovesical pouch here, highlighted in red. This pouch is located between the uterus posteriorly, and this is what is harrowed at this point, and the urinary bladder anteriorly. In this lecture, we would be looking at how this pouch is formed. We'll also be looking at the boundaries of this pouch and also some clinical anatomy. Uterovesical pouch is what is captured here in red. We already described in our previous slide that it is a pouch or a recess that is created between the uterus and also the urinary bladder. This pouch can also be referred to as a vesico-uterine pouch. Depends on how you want to draft the name. If you break down the vesico-uterine pouch, you see that it is a pouch that is located between the urinary bladder, which is the vesicle, and also the uterus, which is uterine. So if you try to break down the name, it is the pouch located between these two structures. And it is a double layer of peritoneum that extends from the anterior border of the uterus to the base of the urinary bladder. If you go back to this image, this is where we have the uterus here. And you know that uterus has anterior and posterior borders. In the anterior border here is where we have the extension of this pouch. And you see it extending to the base of the urinary bladder. This is where we have the urinary bladder here carried at this point. So this is where this pouch is specifically located. And if you drive into the functions of this pouch, considering the pattern by which it runs, it is helping to provide structural support for the uterus and also the urinary bladder. And this is where it is helping to put them in place. It is also responsible for enhancing easy movement between these two structures. Because these two structures are located close to each other in female, so it allows for easy sliding between the uterus and also the urinary bladder. And this is where it is helping to reduce friction between these two organs. So these are the functions of the uterovesical pouch or the vesico-uterine pouch. It's also important for us to add that the posterior region of the uterus will have another pouch created. Remember that the uterovesical pouch is located or created in the anterior region of the uterus. So another pouch is also created at the posterior region of the uterus, and this is referred to as the recto-uterine pouch. This is what is highlighted here in yellow. So you see this pouch located behind the uterus. And if you try to compare the configuration of these two pouches, you see that the recto-uterine pouch is larger when you compare it with the uterovesical pouch. Now let's look at how the uterovesical pouch is formed. This pouch is formed in the anterior region of the uterus. We tried to highlight this in our previous slide. So it is seen in the anterior region of the uterus, and it is formed as a result of the peritoneal covering in the anterior border of the uterus, not extending down to the cervix. Let's try and use this image by the side to illustrate this statement. This is where we have the uterus here, harrowed in blue. And if you look at the uterus, you see that it is covered by peritoneum. And this peritoneum at this lateral region that is harrowed in black has seemed to merge together. And this is where we then have the emergence of the broad ligament of the uterus, which also try to describe this in our lecture on the broad ligament of the uterus. If you not check up that lecture, please kindly go and do so. So we have the merging or the coming together of peritoneal covering of the uterus at this lateral border of the uterus. And this is why we then have the emergence of the broad ligament of the uterus. And this is what drives laterally to be inserted on the lateral pelvic wall. And along the path that this broad ligament runs, you see it anchoring the ovary and also the uterine tube. And this is what is exhibited or shown here in this image. Then if you go to the anterior border of the uterus, you see that at this region that is harrowed in red, we have the limit of the peritoneal covering. So it is seen to be limited to this region that is harrowed in red. And this region is the isthmus region of the uterus. We know that at the inferior border of the body of the uterus, we have a constriction point that is referred to as the isthmus. And this isthmus is what is harrowed here in red. This region is where we have the limit of the peritoneal covering around the anterior border of the uterus. And this means that the inferior region here that is harrowed in purple, which is the cervix, the cervix is the region of the uterus that is located inferior to the isthmus. It is the inferior region of the uterus. And this region is referred to as the subperitoneal region because it is seen to be located below the peritoneal covering. because we said that this peritoneal covering is limited to the isthmus region, which then makes the cervix of the uterus not seen to be covered with peritoneum because of the deficit of the peritoneal covering in the anterior region of the cervix. And because this limit is seen at the isthmus, it is then seen to extend over the structure that is located anterior to it. And remember, we tried to highlight previously that the urinary bladder is the organ that is located anterior to the uterus. And this is where you then have, from the isthmus region of the uterus, you then have the peritoneal covering then extending over the base of the urinary bladder, because it is the urinary bladder that is located anterior to the uterus. So if you try to express this kind of presentation in this lower image, this is where we have the uterovesical pouch here highlighted in red. We say that this pouch is located between the uterus posteriorly and also the urinary bladder anteriorly. This is where we have the uterus here heralded in black, and this is where we have the urinary bladder here also heralded in black. So this pouch is sandwiched between the uterus behind and the urinary bladder in the anterior region. And if you drive through the peritoneal alignment, this is where we have the anterior border or surface of the uterus. You see that this peritoneal alignment is not seen to extend through the entire surface of the anterior border of the uterus. You see it limited to the isthmus, and this is where it is limited at this point where this arrow is pointing. This is where we have the cervix at this inferior region. You see that peritoneal covering is not extending towards the anterior surface of the cervix. And we said that the cervix is a subperitoneal organ, which are organs that are located below the peritoneal covering, which is sub. Sub means below. So if you go back to the isthmus here, where we have the termination of the peritoneal covering in the anterior surface, you see it then further extending into the structure that is located anterior to it. And this is where you see it then extending over the base of the urinary bladder. So this is how we have the formation of the uterovesical pouch or the vesico-uterine pouch. So let me drive through it, describing the borders of the uterovesical pouch or the vesico-uterine pouch. We already established how this pouch is formed in our previous slide. Also using this image at this upper region, this is where we say we have the body of the uterus. We say that at the inferior part of the body of the uterus, we have a constriction point that is referred to as the isthmus. And this is what is harrowed here in red. We say that the peritoneal covering, just as you can see from this image, is limited to the isthmus. And from this region, you see this peritoneal covering then extending over the urinary bladder. And this is how we have the formation of the uterovesical pouch. We say that at the inferior region of the isthmus, we have the cervix. This cervix is not seen to be covered with peritoneum because there is a deficit. If you use this lower image, this is where we have the uterovesical pouch here, highlighted in red, sandwiched between the uterus and the urinary bladder. By now, we should be able to gauge the structures that are seen around its borders. Anteriorly, the uterovesical pouch is bounded by the urinary bladder. This should come easy because we already established that anteriorly to the uterus is where we have the urinary bladder. And we know that this pouch is formed linking the anterior surface of the uterus to the base of the urinary bladder. So we should expect that the structure that will be seen anteriorly will be the urinary bladder. So if you try to use this lower image, this is where we have the urinary bladder here, parallel in green, and this is what is seen in the anterior region of the uterovesical pouch. Posteriorly, the structure that you would see is the uterus, and this is what is also harrowed in blue. But specifically, it is the anterior border or region of the uterus that will be seen at the posterior region or boundary of the uterovesical pouch. Superiorly above, the structure that you have is the uterus. If you look at this image, this is where we have the uterus here heralded at this point. The uterus is also seen to be positioned around the superior border of the uterovesical pouch. If you go back to the position of the uterus, we say that the uterus is located antevertedly over the urinary bladder. And because of this pattern of movement or position, the uterus is also seen to be forming the superior border of the uterovesical pouch. And this is what is also projected here in this image. Then if you go further to the anterior region, at this point that is also arrowed there in pink, you see that the uterovesical pouch is bordered by the peritoneal cavity. And this is where it is also seen at its superior region. So superiorly at the front, you have it communicating or linking with the peritoneal cavity, while posteriorly you have the uterus also forming the superior alignment of the uterovesical pouch. Remember when we tried to describe endometriosis in our previous lecture on the uterine tube, we say that retrograde menstruation can have its way into the peritoneal cavity because the uterine tubes form connection with the peritoneal cavity through the abdominal ostium. The abdominal ostium is an opening that is created on the lateral edge or lateral point of the uterine tube. We try to use this upper image. This is where we have the opening created at this point. And this opening will then link the lumen of the uterine tube with the peritoneal cavity. Endometrial tissue from the uterus can move through the uterine tube and finally released into the peritoneal cavity through this opening that is referred to as the abdominal ostium. And when you have endometrial tissue within the peritoneal cavity, they can also have access into the pouch. We try to use this lower image. Remember when we tried to highlight the superior border of the uterovesical pouch, we said that superiorly it forms a connection with the peritoneal cavity at this region that is already at this point. So endometrial tissue that finds its way into the peritoneal cavity can also be lodged into this uterovesical pouch. And this is how you have the endometrial tissue during chronic endometriosis lodging into this space. Tissues that are seen within the peritoneal cavity, which would be endometrial tissue in terms of endometriosis, would also have its way into the uterovesical pouch because at the superior border, it is seen to form a connection or a link with the peritoneal cavity. Then if you go more laterally, the structure that you would see is the broad ligament. We try to use this upper image. Remember we said that the uterovesical pouch is located in the anterior region of the uterus. So laterally on this side, the structure that you would see is the broad ligament, which of course will be forming the lateral border of the uterovesical pouch. And also the other ligament that are seen to be anchored by the broad ligament of the uterus. And this includes the round ligament of the uterus that is also already at this region. Then we have the ovarian ligament that is also referred to as the uterovarian ligament or the proper ovarian ligament. Then let's go to clinical anatomy. The uterovesical pouch is an important landmark in chronic endometriosis. We try to highlight this in brief during the course of this lecture. We see that endometrial tissue are normally seen to have access into the peritoneal cavity, and how they do this through retrograde menstruation, where this endometrial tissue will access the peritoneal cavity through the abdominal ostium. We say that at the terminal region of the uterine tube, we have the opening created that links the uterine tube with the peritoneal cavity. And we know that the uterine tube also is linked to the cavity of the uterus. So this is how endometrial tissue can travel from the uterus through the uterine tube, then finally into the peritoneal cavity. And when they have access to this region, remember when we tried to describe the boundaries of the uterovesical pouch, we said that superiorly it is continuous with the peritoneal cavity. So structures like the endometrial tissues that are found within the peritoneal cavity can also have access in the uterovesical pouch when in a chronic condition. So a chronic endometriosis will have endometrial tissue lodged in the uterovesical pouch, and this can lead to cyclical pain, which can affect reproductive function. So you have periodic pain occurring as a result of the endometrial tissue located within the uterovesical pouch. And this is usually seen during chronic endometriosis. Also during retroverted uterus, we know that we have different positions of the uterus. The normal position of the uterus is an anteverted, anti-flexed uterus. But when it is retroverted, it means it is directed towards the rectum. And this means that the uterus at this point will be more vertically positioned. And if this occurs, it means that the uterovesical pouch will be widened. And this is logical. Because of the anteverted position of the uterus, it's what makes the uterovesical pouch to be small in terms of its configuration. But when it is retroverted, which means that this uterus will be more vertically directed, this is going to be creating more space for the uterovesical pouch, so it's going to be wider. And during pregnancy, this can create complication because the uterus that is retroverted will be placing more impact or effect on the urinary bladder. And this may cause urinary incontinence that will lead to frequent urination. Low back pain can also occur due to retroverted uterus during pregnancy because of the impact that it will be creating towards the spine around this region. So thanks for watching this video. Let's continue to stay glued to this channel.